breaking the wall of skin cancer. Qualified in the UCLA lab in Los Angeles, Jared Matthews, University of California, Los Angeles.
All right. In 1987, former President Ronald Reagan had basal cell surgically removed, and he survived. In 1977, reggae legend Bob Marley was diagnosed in the late stages with malignant melanoma, and he died. What would have happened if he had an earlier diagnosis? In America, it is projected that 1 in 5 individuals will get skin cancer of some sort within their lifetime. In Germany, roughly that same number represents the number of reported tanning bed users. And of those users, they have roughly a 60% chance of getting melanoma. Moreover, we've interviewed both dermatologists and epidemiologists, and they've confirmed that no concrete data exists to correlate your long-term UV exposure patterns to specific skin cancer types. Why? Because conventional UV dosimeters, which turn color shades to quantify the level of personal UV exposure, can't track fine-grained time. At UCLA, we're developing UV Guardian, a mobile application that tracks your fine-grained personal UV exposure history, provides recommendations to protect the user from overexposure, and presents to the user their relative UV exposure levels compared to others in their social circle. Now, why is relative UV exposure valuable? Because if I presented to you your raw UV exposure data, the average person wouldn't know what to infer from it. And it goes back to my previous point that there's no correlation between exposure levels and skin cancer types. But if I presented to you your relative UV exposure compared to, say, your best friend who's a construction worker, then you at least have something to raise your consciousness. So how does UV Guardian work? Step 1, you input your name, your skin tone, and if you're wearing any sunscreen, the SPF factor. If you're an avid self-quantifier, place the phone on your arm, and ambient light information will be sent into a simple model that will track your fine-grained personal UV exposure. Alternatively, if you prefer to place the phone in your pocket, then a more complex model will take into account the path traveled, environmental properties such as buildings that can affect your exposure, and it will estimate your exposure along the path. And when you're ready to start the activity, hit the record button. UV Guardian will protect you along the path. In closing, UV Guardian is the first application to provide fine-grained UV exposure history to the user and recommendations to protect the user. This data is very valuable to epidemiologists so that they can discover new insights about skin cancer to influence dermatologists so that dermatologists can provide better care to the patient. And that's how we're breaking the wall of skin cancer. Thank you.
So does this app take into account personal susceptibilities such as genetic polymorphisms and several others?
Can't see who that is, but no, not yet. No, not yet. That would be.
Would that be important?
No, second question, please. Just go ahead.
Yeah.
What's the incentive for the everyman to strap a phone and wear it every day?
I think it'd be just tracking your fine-grained exposure levels. So when these epidemiologists discover these insights, it'll be valuable decades later, right, to correlate what type of patterns will give you this specific type of skin cancer type. And I think that's the incentive.
Thank you very much.
Is this out in the market?
Is it what?
Out in the market already?
No, not. I'm currently developing it, so not quite.
Thank you very much. Next one.
Thank you.